Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. On this tutorial, we're going to be creating this beautiful web layout. Oops, here I think I forgot to add the border radius for this section here. So if you watch the tutorial to the end, you will understand what I just did there by making this align with the other ones. This is how the final prototype is going to look when you open it in the prototype mode. To follow along with this tutorial, I've made the files available in the description below. So once you open the link, you're going to get this file. Click on open in Figma. So this is going to open the file in Figma. Once it opens the file, we have two items here. That's two pages. One which is the resources folder. Here you're going to see all the resources that we need in this tutorial, and then a picture of our design for the day. So now I'm going to select this color here, copy this, and then bring this back to our page one, which is this. So I'm going to zoom out here. So we can now set this background color. I'll select this empty space and then try to change the color of the page to somewhere here. So now, once you're done with that, we need to add a frame. So now I'll be using the MacBook Pro 16 inches. So once we have that, we can now add our layout grid. So for our grid system, I'm going to be using the columns here. So I can set that to 12, and then for the margins here, I'm going to use 16 because of the nature of our design. So I'm going to use 16. So we can close that, and we can also add another column here. So this time it's going to be rows. So for this, I can also make that 12, and then for the margins here, I'll use 16 also, not 12. So now after adding this, we just need to add rulers. So to do that, you can click on the Figma icon here, go to view, and then make sure that your ruler is checked. So once the ruler is checked, you can come in here, you'll see some line, drag and drop this somewhere here. So I'm going to zoom in. So here I'm going to drop this here. That's this. And then we can do the same for this other side, drag and drop this here. So I'm going to drop this here. So you can zoom in and then do that here. So we're going to do the same for this. Click and then drag this somewhere here, and I'll just do the same, drag it and then drop it here before aligning it. So we can zoom in now and then set this here to bottom here, and go to the top here and do the same, drag this and then drop this here. So now after having this rulers, we can select this our item here and then hide our grid. So we have this. So now we can go ahead and start drawing the shapes. So here I'm going to use the rectangle. So I'm going to drag the rectangle to make sure that it's touching this here, and then make sure that it starts and stops here with that margin. Same here. So now after doing this, we're going to give this a width of 760. That's the width we're giving this, and then we're going to give it a border radius of 32. So we now have this here. So before we continue, let's select this MacBook Pro and change the background color to this black here. So after that, select this rectangle we just created and then change the color to this here. So we now have our first part of the design. So now to create the second one, instead of using ruler, I'm going to create a tiny rectangle here. So we can just change that here to 16 by 16 here. So I'm going to change the color to red, something shiny red that we can all see. So this is 16 by 16. I'll drag this and drop this here. And the next thing on our list is to add another rectangle. So this time it's going to start here, and then make sure it's stopping here on this margin. So I'm going to open this, drag and drop it here. So make sure that we drag and then stop this here. So now we have our width. Then the next thing we want to do is to just adjust the height to 540 here. That's the height we're going to be using for this. After this, we need to add the cut here. So to do that, I'm going to select this, and then make sure you change the color of this new rectangle. So after adding the rectangle here, we're going to change the color So I'll just quickly change the color to this here, so we can close this. After that, let's change the width to 340, and then the height, I will set that to 200. Okay, so you can add as much as you want, but for this tutorial I'm keeping 200. So after that, select this rectangle, hold shift, and then select this big one here. So on the top side here, click and then click on the exclude. So we now have this here. So you make sure that it was covering the border. So we now have this here. So now let's add the border radius for this, which is 32 here. We now have this solid border radius. You see it's affecting everywhere. So now let's add the next angle here. So we can just use this for the alignment here. So the width of this is going to be 272 here, and then the height is going to be 270. So after adding this, we can just align this. After it's aligned, then we can add our border radius of 32 here. So we can also quickly change the color, press I, and then change the color to this. So for this, we can Ctrl D to duplicate this here. I'm already having 16, but you can select this for precision, Ctrl D, drag it, and then put it in between this here. So just make sure that, okay, this is 16 here, the space in between them. So we can select this to make sure that it's covering this particular width here. For us to get the better measurements, you can drag a ruler from here and put it here, and you see the ruler, it's aligned properly here. So the next thing is to add another rectangle here. So this, we make sure this stops here, and then we drag this somewhere here. So but for this, we're not going to make the border radius 32, we're going to make it 24. This is the reason why, so that we can be able to balance it off with this. If you make that 32, yes, you see the balance will not be there. So here we're making the border radius 24 instead of 32. So now we can now change the color of this to this green here. So after that, the next thing we want to do here is you can also click on this, Ctrl D, drag and drop this here. So that will make sure that we're having the 16. So select this and then drag this, touches this place here, and then make sure that this green is aligned with this ruler here. So we have our design up, so we can push this a bit. If you even want to make it better, you can select this here, Ctrl D, duplicate this, and then drag this and drop this here. So maintain the 16 here. So now here, this is touching here. So here we just need to click and then increase the height of this to 16. And you notice we have a perfect spacing in between them here. So now we're jumping. Let's change the color of this. So to change the color, I'll select this and then use this darker one here. So now we have the last two items. You can select this, Ctrl D, drag this somewhere here. So want to make sure that the spacing between them here is 16, but I think I'm seeing 20 somewhere here, so we need to fix that. Ctrl D, drag this here. So please, this is giving me 20, so we need to fix this. So I can drag the height of this here, or we can push this here, and then we can also do the same for this, push this here. So this is 16, 16. So now I can select this, Ctrl D, drag this here, and then make sure we're pushing this to 16 here, and then this must also be aligned to 16 here. So now after having this, let me select this and check, okay, this is good. So now here it's also good, and then here it's also good. Here we have the 16. So let's add the width of this item here. So for the width, I can increase this as far as, let's go 400, and let me just change that here, 34. So we have 434 for the width. So I can duplicate this and then drag this to create another one here. Make sure that the spacing is 16. So you can as well just duplicate one of these red lines here, this red rectangle D, to just make sure that it's 16. Here this is 16, and then we can select this item here, cover this here. So now we can change the colors here. So this, I can make it this dark here, and then for this we can make it this color here. So now we have the shape of our website. So after this, now you can do away with the red lines here. So I can select this and then delete them here. So after deleting this, I'm going to delete the ruler also that we have here, but I'm keeping the ones at the edges. So now the next figure I want to show you is, make sure you're selecting this item here, right click, and then convert this to frame selection, because we want everything to be on the frame. So here we can just see left side. So the same here, I'll right click here and then convert to frame selection. So here I'll just say L shape. You can just give them any name you want. So here I'll just right click here, frame selection, and I can change the name here to small. So here the same thing. Okay, this one here, right click and then frame selection. We're going to change that to small to here. Then here I'll just right click, frame selection. We're going to change this to long. Here the same thing for this, right click, frame selection, and here big one. Then the same thing for this, right click, frame selection, and then big two here. So all these things now we have them as frames, and then we have our shape. So we now have all the layouts here. So the next thing we want to do here is to bring our images. So I'll select this, and then I think I will copy this or cut that and then paste it here. Command V. Please, I don't want that in here, sorry. I want that outside here. So the first thing, select the image here, Ctrl C to copy, and then select this frame, Ctrl V to paste that. So once you paste it, we have this LED here. So now for this frame, make sure you're selecting the L shape here. Click on this clip content here. In case there is an overflow, it's going to automatically hide that. So that's the first item. So the second item is this lady here, Ctrl C to copy, and then select this item, Ctrl V to paste that here. So now you see, if there's an excess here, you see it's going to show outside. So the solution to that is, make sure you're selecting the frame here, that's this one, and then clip to content. So it's automatically going to hide everything here. Let me undo that and select the lady. It's going to hide if there's an excess. So make sure that the hand on this side here is just touching the edge here. So once we have that, we can jump to the next, which is this lady, Ctrl C to copy, and then select this item, Ctrl V. So this is the reason why we added frames to each of these items. So we can push this lady here, select this frame, and then clip to content here. So once you do this, we can now double click to select this lady here and then try to adjust her this way. And then I can push this down a bit here. So we have this, it's world aligned, but we can do better. I can just push half of her face in here. So this appears better. So the next one here we want to add, I'm going to select this image here, Ctrl C to copy, and then select this, Ctrl V to paste. So I think we don't have much alignment to do for this, but if yours is not looking like this, then just try to align it to look like this. So after that, make sure you're selecting or clicking on this clip to content here. But once you do that, you notice that we have an overflow here. So double click or select the frame here, and then make sure we're giving the border radius to 32 here, so that it's automatically going to align. So I can select this here and then try to adjust this here. So now select the frame, and then we can clip this item to content. So you notice that we have our border radius here. So still I will select the image and try to push it down here. So that's perfect. And let's check this again here. So I'm going to select this, and don't forget, let's add the border radius for the frame itself so that we can have this here. No need to overflow. So now after having that, we're going to select this other image here, Ctrl C, and then bring the image here, paste it here, Control V. So now we are going to make sure we're selecting this frame and then add a border radius of 32. So let me zoom in so that you see the effect. 32. You see we now have this border radius on the frame. So we've arranged all our items here. So the next item I want to add here is an image here, but this time I'm going to put that in a rectangle. So I'm going to measure this rectangle. I'll set that to 146 here, and it should be by 152. That's for this rectangle here. So I'm going to set the border radius of this to 24. That's for this. So we can adjust this here. So after that, we can now change the color to any of this color. So I think I'll just improvise here and then go for a yellow, because on the original design we have a yellow. So just improvise. You can copy the color hex here and then close this. So we can now select this image here, Control C, and I can convert this to a frame now. So use a frame selection for this and then Control V to paste in here. So this is going to sit in here perfectly. So I'll make sure I select the frame here and then change the border radius to 24. So clip the item to content. So we have this. So after having this, you notice we've done most of the work here. So I'm going to copy the text section here, Control C, and then bring it back to our resources file here. So let me drag this and drop it here. I'm going to go back to resources, go to our icons, zoom in. I'll select this icon, Control C, and then I'll paste them here. So if you're wondering how I arrange this item here, I use the section in here. That's this. So if you add this, you should be able to have this name here, and then you can arrange your items inside. So now once we have that, let's start by adding our logo. So I'm going to select the frame here and copy this and Control V. I'll paste that here and I'll bring this here. So we can change the color to white. So after changing the color to white, we can now add our first set of text, which is this, Control C, and then I'll select that and paste this here. So after pasting this, let's change the color to white also here. So now we can increase the size of this to 72. I've already set the font style to this Helvetica. No, so that's the font style we are using. So after adding this, so we can add another text here, which is Zach podcast. This time we're going to change this to 20. That's the size, Zach podcast 20, and we can set that to medium, Zach podcast. So after that, we can now select this text, Control C, and paste the text here. So you can be creative and then add your own text, but why we added this text is to just make this easier for us to create in a short time. If you're still watching this tutorial and you're not subscribed, please kindly hit the subscribe button. So now we have this here. So the next item we also want to add here are some text here. So I'll copy this and then paste this here, and I will change the color to white. I'll do the same for this, copy this and then I paste it here, change the color to white. I'll change the color to white. So now let's change the size of this. Here I'm setting this to 32, and here I'm setting the size to 12. Okay, it's already 12, so that's easy for me. So the next thing is we want to add another image here. So to do that, I'm going to select this rectangle here and then drag something here like this. So after adding this rectangle here, I'm going to set the width here to 286 here by then 334 here. So once we have that here, so I can now set the border radius here to maybe 32 here. So after setting that to 32, we can adjust this our text here and then adjust this here also. So we need to add an image to this. So I'll change this color and then change that to white, and then let's add that to a frame. So frame selection. So copy this image and then paste that inside this frame that we're having. So I'll drag this and then drop this here. So don't forget, I'll select the frame here and then clip item to content, and then I'll try to adjust my image here. So after adjusting the image, don't worry about the size. So we select the frame back here and then make sure that the border radius of the frame is also 32. So we have this design here. So let's just arrange this and then create the buttons that we need for this project so that we can perfect this. So I'm going to push this away, just drag this and then drop this somewhere here. So I'm going to add a text here. So here, so it's going to be browse. So I'm going to make the size of this 16 and then I'll set that to medium. So I'll press Shift A to add that in an auto layout. So the padding on the left and right, we want this to be 40, and top and bottom, let's try 16 and see. Okay, 16 looks too big, but then let's go 14. Okay, that's good. So let's add a fill to this. So white, so I'm adding a border radius here. I can make that 48 divided by 2 here. It will be 24, which is this. So you can always make that big more than that, but it's always half of the height here. So I can make this 30 if I want, but 24 should give us what we need. So here I'll just name this button here, button. So after that, I'm going to create a variant for this button. So I will convert this to a component. After that, I'll click on the plus sign here to have a variant. So double click on the property name here. So here we just give that a color. So then the variant 2 here, I'm just going to name this primary, like our primary color. So for this one here, if you select this, you can just change this default to white. Yeah. So now once you select this, we want to change the color of this and then I'll pick this color here, which is this. And then for the text, I'm going to change that to white. That's for this variant here. So now I can select the assets here and then drag this button and then drop it right here. So let's do one thing here, add some properties, double click on this text, then click on this dot here so that it will select matching layers. So now here we just want to add a property here, which is the content here, content of the button here, so that if I select this button here, I should be able to just edit the content here. So browse here, podcast. So you see we have this items here. So for this item, we can now rearrange this designs. So I'm going to select this to here and then press Shift A to put them in an auto layout. So the spacing between them here, I think 8 is good. So for this item, I'll select them Shift A and then adjust the spacing here to 32. That's for the text. Then I can now select this button, Shift A, and then I'll make this also 32 here. So once we have that, okay, let's increase the spacing for this. Here you can do plus maybe 8 here. So we have 40. So we have this section borderline. Then this other section here, we need to add one button here. So click on this button and then drop this here. Then here for the color, we want to use the primary here. So for the text inside, we want to change this to subscribe, which is this. So we need to arrange these 3 items. So hold Shift and then select these 2 items, Shift A to put them in an auto layout. So the spacing between them 32. So we have one group here. So now hold this item, hold Shift and select this item here, Shift A to put them in an auto layout and make sure that this is aligned to the center. So we have this section of our web app. So here I'll select these items and then these are the one here, Shift A. Yeah, we have them in an auto layout, so we can then shift them here. If you want to give them a padding, you can do that as you wish. You can do that. So but for this, if you want to adjust the spacing between this logo and then this item, you can always do that. Then now coming back in here, we can, okay, I think we have some text here that we need to add. That's on this section. To do that, I'm going to add the text here, streaming. Let me zoom in so we can see what I'm typing. Streaming on. So I'll put a break here and then I can all platform. Streaming on all platform. So here we can now increase the size of this to 42. Streaming on all platform. So having this, I think I can set this to, let's see how bold will look on this. Okay, bold looks like this. So let's add an effect to this effect. So we have a drop down here. Let's just increase the blur here to 8. So if you want that to look double, I think that is good here. We have this. Please here, after pressing the enter here, I just press some shift to just move this text around. So after having this, we can now create a frame. So I'll click this, sorry, I'm going to select this and then add a frame here. This tiny frame. I'm just going to make sure that this is 32. Go back to layers. So on design, I'll make sure that this is 32 by 32. So after that, let's add a fill to this. So we have this. So change the border radius here to 16. We have this. So on our icons, I think we have this. I'll select this, Ctrl C to copy, and then bring that in here. So make sure you're selecting this particular frame. Paste that inside. Once you paste this, I think we can do better by increasing the width of this to, let's say 42. Yeah. So let's center this item, drag that here. You can actually select this item and then just use this. Sorry, I think why I'm not getting that, I have to select the headphone here. So you see, it didn't align that properly. So let me select this here and then align this inside, then select this headphone here and then align this here. So the headphone is also in a frame, that's why I have to do that. So we can close this and then let's change this color from this selection color to this here. So but the next thing we want this to be here. Oh, sorry, let me select this. We want to drag this to this place here. So we have this. So here I'm going to add this item here. So we have our text here. So after adding this, so we can add another text here. So we say, you can now listen to our podcast on all platform. So sorry about that. I'm going to resize this to 12, let's say. So I think I will remove one of the L's here and then change this from semi-bold to normal medium. Sorry, we don't have normal here. So I'll arrange this here. So now we have these items here. So I can hold shift and then select this other one and press shift A. So let's say if this item here, let me drag this. Let me select this item here and then drag this. If you want this to be part of the group, let's say Ctrl X, I'll select this auto layout and paste this here. It is definitely going to fall in here. So what you're going to do is to add this absolute position here. So we can just drag this, though it's part of the frame now, but we can drag this and position it where we want to. So now here we can now drag this item here and then drop it somewhere here. So you see we have our designs coming up. So now I'm going to select the pen tool. So we want to create an L shape. So click on this, hold shift, then click on this, now hold shift and then click on this point here, somewhere here. So after that, just click done, and then we can add the border radius to 2, the border to 2, change the color to white here, something like this. So we can now drag this, bring it just somewhere here. So I want to adjust the height a bit, so we can go, let's say this is the height 100. So the width here, we just adjust that also something like this, let's say 50 by 100. So after doing this, we just adjust this somewhere here, and then Ctrl D to duplicate, drag this, and then bring this somewhere here. So let's rotate this to 180. That's the opposite of that one. That's 180. That one is on 0, so the opposite should be 180. So I'll drag this and then drop this somewhere here. So if we want to perfect this design, what we're going to do is select this item, select this one also, and then select this here. So click on this, and then the horizontal spacing, we can click on that, and then it should give you this perfect spacing here and then also here. So you can just group this item, Ctrl G. I don't recommend putting that in an auto layout, just group it. So this is going to be our item, just renaming the group. So now let's add some variations to our button. So I'm going to select this button here and then click the plus sign. So now for this color, I'm just going to name that dark. So for this dark, the color is going to be here where we have white. I'll just select this and then use this our color here, and then the text here, it's going to be white here. So that's our dark color. So I'm going to add another variation. So here I can select this and then add a plus sign, or you can duplicate this one. So this is going to be, that's this variation here. Let me go up. No background, no minus BG, no background. So for the color, for the background color, that's the fill. I want to minus the fill here. So we just have our text. So this text, I can make that white. So for the selection here, this is going to be white. Yeah. So now here we need to add one button. So we can go to the asset file, drag one of this button here, and then bring it here. So for the text content here, it's going to be learn more, and then our type here, instead of white, this is going to be dark here. So the good thing about the variants, you can just play with it and adjust it to you're comfortable with that, because it's a variant, so you can play with it. So now I just want to align that with this here. So after that, we just need to add some fill designs here. So to do that, I'm just going to start with this here. I'll add a rectangle inside this frame, maybe somewhere here. So for this, I'm going to make sure that the height of this, let's work on the height here. So let's make that let's say 70 for the height. Then change the color. Okay, 70 is too much. That's 60 should do. Okay, good. So but we're still going to push this down a bit. So change the color of this to white. After that, reduce the opacity to 70 so that we can have a transparent background. Then add an effect to this. So here I'm just going to add the background blur here. So for this, you can increase this blurriness here. So I think we can do better with the opacity if we change this. So it's just going to give us a nice blur. Okay, this is good. Let's keep that maybe around this 45. Good. So once we have this, I think I'm going to select this item here, Ctrl C, and then I'm going to select this and make sure that it's now a frame selection. So what I copied, I'll just paste that inside here. But this time I'm going to change the icon here, so I can delete this, and I'll come in and select this item, Ctrl C, copy that, and then I'll select this item because it's a frame, and I'll paste this here. So you can align that, and then you see it's already perfectly aligned. So once we have that, I can now bring this somewhere here like this. So I'll select this item and make sure that it's covering the width of this. Okay, good. So let's check this other side here again, make sure that okay. So after the frame is there, so double click to make sure you're selecting the rectangle and then drag that to cover this. Okay, that's good. So now in here we have some items. I'm going to select this item here, Ctrl C to copy, and I'm going to bring that here. Control V to paste that in this frame. So I'm going to change the color of this to white. Yeah. So after that, just double click. We have this item. I will do Control D, just keep duplicating. It's already in an auto layout. So I'll just do D. Please, if you're still watching this tutorial and you're not subscribed, please kindly hit the subscribe button. After that, I'm going to select this, and then we can use auto layout to align them to center here. So we can now select this frame, Control C, and I'm going to bring that here. Control V to paste it. I'll drag it and drop it somewhere here. So we can increase the width of this. That's for the frame. Yeah, come back, double click, select that of the rectangle, and then drag that here. So for this, because it's big, we can increase this a little and then select this and then align that. Okay, I think I want to manually align that myself. So good, I want to keep this somewhere here. So we can select this item here, double click one, and then do this. So we're going to do the same for this other item. So I can select this here. So after having this, I'm going to select this one here, Control C, and then I'll paste it for this item here, Control V. So we can just adjust the frame. After adjusting the frame, you can select the rectangle and also adjust that here. So now the next thing is select this again, copy this, and then we paste it for this item here. So I'll Control Z, so I'll drag this. After pasting this, I'll drag this somewhere here, and we can increase the frame, double click to select the rectangle, and then drag this here. So please, I'm going to make sure that this is having this clip to content and the border radius is 32 for this. I think I forgot to do that. So now I can select this item, one of this, Control D till we have this. So they are already aligned here. I can just align this to center. I can do the same for any of this. So for this, we're not adding the play button. I'm going to copy this and then select till we select this frame and then paste the play sign here. So I'll drag this and then drop this here. So for this, I want to do something here. Let's say this is already playing. So let's say this user must have played this to this level. So we can change this white colors to maybe, let's say this blue color here. Let's say this user is currently playing this here. So but in the screenshot, I used the orange for that. So but I'm using this color for this. So here we can make some little modification. So instead of the play sign here, we can delete that and then add a pause sign because it's currently playing. So we tell the user, okay, this is what is currently playing on the. So double click till you select this and then paste this. So we're telling the user, okay, you can pause this. This is the one that is actually being played at the moment. So now let's just add some little text here and then we'll round up the tutorial. Please, if you're still watching and you're not subscribed, please kindly hit the subscribe button. Here we are just saying how to improve your design skills. So here I'm going to set the text size here to 42, to 32, no 42 here. So I'm setting this to 32. Then after that, I also want to add some text here. Figma updates. So let's see. So I'm going to change the size of this to 22. Figma update here. Then I'm just going to change this. Okay, this is medium. That's good. So I'm just going to add the name of this guy, David Cole. So this we can set that to 18. And then here we can just use regular Figma update by David Cole here. So now we have another text we want to add here. So here this is going to be tech and lifestyle. So let's say this here. So tech and lifestyle, so this is going to be 22 also, and then we'll drag it up somewhere here, and then we add the, so here this is Keisha color. Okay, I can't remember the name I use. I think it's Cray. So this is also going to be 18. So we can set this somewhere here, and I select this here. This is 22, and I think I'm going to adjust this a little. So we guess I'm using 14 instead. Tech and lifestyle by this lady. So you can just Shift A, put them in an auto layout, so it just matches everything. Make that easy for me. So then here we're going to add another text here for this. So we're going to add a text, surviving in. So okay, I think for the in here, break it down in, then tech here. So this, we're going to set the size to 42. Surviving in tech. Set that somewhere here like this, and then I'm just going to set that to, okay, regular. So this, I'm going to change the color to white. So let's adjust the size of this to this. Okay, so we have this here, so you can just play around with it till you perfect that. So the next item we have on our list is this section here. So we need to add some text here. So I'm going to add join our newsletter, join our weekly newsletter. So I'll drag this in here, and then I'll change the size of this to 22 here. Let's see. So let me just do better here. Let's go 32. Join our weekly podcast, weekly newsletter. So I'm going to add a button here. Go to assets, drag one of the buttons, and then drop that here. This is going to be dark. So if I'm adding that, so I think I want to play around with this text here. It's 28, and for this I want to adjust this a little. So this is going to be, so I can come in here, let me select the button, change that to subscribe here, and then the size of the text here I will also go down to 14. Subscribe. So we have this here. Okay, let me adjust this. Okay, hold that, Shift A, put that in an auto layout. So here I will just add some text, get notify whenever we release a new podcast. Or you can just stylishly be the first to blah blah blah. Okay, but then it's just text. So I'm going to add this here, hold Shift and then Shift A to put them in an auto layout also. So I'm going to set this to 18. So now I can just hold this and then align that to center here. So we're left with just the menu items here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the buttons, drag one of the button here and then drop it here. So for this type of button, I'm going to use the no BG. I think I had a spelling error there, so but I think that would do. So I'll just drag, align, address. Sorry, I'll just adjust the width of this. Once I adjust this, so the first item here, I think is going to be tech here, tech. So I'm going to just duplicate this, drag this here. This is going to be episodes. Sorry, I'm going to select this here. This is going to be episodes. Then Ctrl D here, drag that here, and this is going to be trends, and then here I'll just Ctrl D. This is going to be designs here. So I can select this 4 items here and Shift A to put them in an auto layout. So I have this, my menu here. So the last item on the list before we adjust that is I'll just drag this and then put the button here, which is the content is join us here. So I'm going to adjust the height of this here a bit and the width. So now for the text in here, I think I'm going to maintain this same size here. So I can select these two group, Shift A, put them in an auto layout, make sure they are aligned to center, and we can have this. So let me adjust this here to center here. Push that to the top a little. So after adding this navbar, I think we're done with the design here. So if you're still not subscribed, please kindly hit the subscribe button to show your support for this channel. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.